Wolverine was originally known as one of the most mysterious members of the X-Men, and even those closest to him never knew every detail about him, due to Logan himself not knowing all of the particular details relating to his life. Due to his advanced age, various experimentations upon him, memory implants, so he couldn't necessarily know what sort of memories were real and what memories were fake. Even writers were unable or unwilling to acknowledge or use the unusually deep lore with details relating to Logan. But the speculative scenario is this: Wolverine wasn't ever intended to have a known origin. Wolverine was originally intended to be a supporting character or plot mechanism relating to other characters. His Canadian background was supposed to have him being different from other supporting characters of the particular time, and his rough and callous nature was to give him a sort of rural appeal whenever he was with an affiliated character. Due to the circumstances with the X-Men in the late 1970s, Chris Claremont became the head writer of the X-Men comics, as Claremont decided to turn the intentional mystery of Logan into what the character was known for. Whenever someone asked him about what he might have done in the past, he purposefully gave vague details about it or unclear annotations, never exact facts about himself or what he did earlier in his life. As a result, Wolverine was known as a man who did an extraordinary amount of things in his life, and who always had a comment about any sort of experience and how it might have related to him. This experience eventually became the now iconic stance that Wolverine was the best at what he does. Writers who started to use Wolverine more in the 1980s continued the mystique or mystery with Logan, but added particular or specific details with the character, such as him being a special agent for the Canadian government or knowing in-depth details from the Parliament, as well as having contacts in the United States of America from the Second World War. This was at the time due to strong and serious writing for the character that Logan became one of the most well-known members of the X-Men, and in particular due to his original solo series based off work that the writers did for Wolverine at that time. When Barry Windsor Smith wrote Weapon X, detailing specific events surrounding the Weapon X program for Logan, it was the first real attempt to explain specific events or situations previously from his life. In particular, Chris Claremont and Larry Hama, key writers for Wolverine from the 1980s, were critical of the work, while at the time readers were split with an even amount supporting the explanation of Wolverine through Weapon X on those that did not necessarily enjoy the premise of the story. When X-Men the animated series premiered in the early 1990s, it would remain a crucial aspect of Marvel's brand for the decade. Wolverine being written brilliantly for the series was one of the reasons why the character was also one of the most visible X-Men during the decade as well. This was the first exposure of the character to a casual audience that watched the cartoon at the time. This animated interpretation of Wolverine would be pivotal to later depictions of the character. The original trilogy of X-Men films by Fox brought a flawed and incorrect interpretation of the X-Men to a worldwide audience. While comic readers of the time were upset with the errors and modifications made to the characters from the film, the casual audiences of the movie saw Wolverine and found the character interesting due to the performance by Australian actor Hugh Jackman. Due to the success of the films and the focus of Logan as Wolverine within them, from information now known, Fox Studios had ideas to make films about Wolverine, but due to the character's intentionally unknown and intentionally vague past, Marvel had become very anxious about Fox putting out films specifically for Wolverine. Marvel decided to put out official stories on Wolverine, and now the infamous Origins series of comics sought to finally add clarification to all of the details that writers prior to the films intentionally unfortunately left unknown. Reactions to the comics were mixed when originally published, but with a clear origin story, Fox would have to abide by the details written and could adopt what already existed. The James Howlett origin for Wolverine remains one of the most controversial decisions by Marvel to allow for the character of Wolverine in all of X-Men history. Despite the situation with origin, writers of the time continued with the concept of explaining Wolverine's backstory with Wolverine Origins, a short series originally published from 2006 through 2010. While reactions to Wolverine Origins were mostly negative, the comic sold well for Marvel, and the lore for Wolverine was established but was highly contested and not taken seriously by particular readers of the time. While the Fox X-Men movies continued to make decent revenue for the premise of Wolverine, it naturally changed as a result of all of these conditions. Due to Wolverine's original unknown origin as Logan and the forced explanation as James Howlett, both are now used in a sort of duality for serious and casual fans of the X-Men.